And we are back, everybody. Victory Monday. Dolphins got a much needed win over the Patriots. Thank God. Definitely was a stressful game. Not a perfect game, but lots of things to like, takeaways if you didn't, haven't checked the film breakdowns yet that I posted today. But some players stepped up. I thought the play calling, play design was much, much improved. So shout out to Mike McDaniel. Definitely wanted to see that out of him. So that's a good sign. Hopefully they can build upon this. They're going into a bye week. So we got a little time to breathe, but probably the bye week's up, not that bad of a thing this early on with the injuries that have kind of happened for them. But we'll see how it plays out. I think the next stretch of the schedule is still very winnable, but going over this game. Whew. Thank God Dolphins were able to pull off a win here. I just watched the defensive film. I had gone over I already did the offensive film breakdown today. I just watched the defensive film. Still have to, get the clips all collected and stuff like that. But there's good things from the defense. I think that was expected, though, going against New England's offense. Let's go. My bank account was in trouble again. Yeah, my fucking frames are not good right now. Let's see. Here, boom, boom. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, starting with Alec Ingold. Gotta give Ingold a shout out. I'm gonna do an Alec Ingold video tomorrow. Ingold was phenomenal, outstanding, the best I've ever seen him play. Literally, I think McDaniel just talked about him in an interview. It was so good. Every drive he was destroying people. His usage was so valuable to the team. So shout out Ingold, especially in the running game, with helping out with Jalen Wright, Raheem Mostert. They really killed it in the running game, specifically the second half and the fourth quarter. That touchdown game going ahead drive, it was huge. Whew. But it was nice to get a win. Definitely felt much better. Victory Monday is always much nicer after last. Dolphins 2-3. Obviously, it looks like it's been really bad, but technically, season ain't over. They're literally a game back from the division. Armstead's so good when he's on the field. We look like a different team. Yes, Teron Armstead is still amazing. I know people will, talk bad about him because of the injury stuff, but you got to respect him when he's playing because he is a insanely good player. Played very, very well. Definitely helps, I think, with the consistency of the O-line. I think the O-line overall did a pretty good job run blocking. I actually got to give a shout out to Robert Jones. It was definitely Robert Jones' best performance. I'll probably do a video on Robert Jones. I know we've been very critical of him, but got to give credit where credit's due. It was Jones' best game of the season by far. He played pretty consistently, did a good job in the running game. So credit where credit's due there. The running game all around, I thought, Jalen Wright, Mostert. We obviously lost Achane, which sucks. But I think it was nice to rely on the power running game in this game. It will be nice to see how they can have that complement in other games. But it was overall pretty nice. And I did not want us to win. I wanted to lose. We lose every other game so we can tank. Okay. Dude, it's week 5. And who are you tanking for? There's not a QB worth tanking for in this class. Would you say Ingold's a top 5 fullback? I mean, yeah. There's not many fullbacks that even start. So, I feel like Ingold's been a top 5 fullback throughout his career. But that was, top tier fullback performance. Usually he plays, decent or, and then sometimes he'll have rough games. But that was, insanely good performance versus New England. But, yeah, really good. Let's see. I had some... Yeah, shout out Robert Jones had a good game. Teron Armstead, amazing. I thought Marcus May filled in really nicely at safety. I really liked that from him. Definitely nice to see. I wanted him to start over Poyer regardless of injury. Now with the Holland injury, we'll see what the safety room looks like. It sucks to lose Holland, but with May and Campbell, really at safety play, you don't need super impactful safety play. You just need guys who can be in the right spot, place. And play disciplined, smart football. And I think you can get away with those guys for a few games with that. The reason you end up wanting to take an elite safety, someone like Kyle Hamilton, is because that's how you can really take your defense to a next level when you have someone who can make an impact from that position. Does Miami Mike finally have a recipe to win football games? Run. I'm talking because we said we can draft one of these high caliber quarterbacks not to start, but just to sit behind Tua and learn because we don't know when he's going to go down. I mean, yeah, it's fair to like consider that, but I'm not gonna lie, like I don't think you're gonna need a top pick to get one of these quarterbacks, because to me, the guy that's gonna go at the top won't be that much different than the guy you're gonna get late first round, if that's really what you're looking at. But that's just how I feel about the quarterback class right now. So I don't feel like there's any need to tank with this QB class, because there's like 8 names that I can look at and like I don't see too much of a difference in level of play. Plus the top guys, most of them wouldn't fit in your scheme if McDaniel's still the coach. So so I'm not really on that train. Plus, like if you have a top pick and you're planning to roll it back with Tua, you probably would try to find a veteran to back him up. I only would really go after a top QB unless you were like planning to start over. Rather just take a high level player at that spot. Would you rather play Flacco or Richardson? I'm not gonna lie, I'd rather play AR. Not gonna lie. Let's not forget when he got injured against the Bengals and he got another concussion. Like it's too much to think about. Okay, yeah. Elijah Campbell is trash. He almost gave the game away on the last touchdown. Harry, you're throwing around trash and guys are bad a little too often. Like Elijah Campbell is not trash. One, he's one of the best special teams players in the league. Defensively, I actually think he's played pretty solid. The touchdown you're talking about was not necessarily his fault. You'll see when I break it down tomorrow. You're talking about the Jalen Polk play, right? Yeah. Devon injury got me feeling the season is over. I mean, I don't think the season's over. I think safety play is overall, you just need like smart discipline play. If you don't have an elite safety, that's like what you need, because a lot of times safeties can be very much out of the play and not impactful on a lot of snaps. We suck. This team is still terrible. Yeah, I mean, they didn't play great, but I think there was some building blocks to take off of this. And obviously, like, I still think the team has a lot of talent. I think if Tua comes back and McDaniel calls games like he did this New England game, I think this team can still win many games, but it just depends. Patrick McMorris, yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I wonder if McMorris is ready to come back, because now he's still on IR, so but he's definitely eligible to be activated. I just don't know how injured he is, but I imagine we're going to see Marcus May and Elijah Campbell. Do you think he'll make the playoffs this year? It'll be tough. I mean, I wouldn't put money on it. Not at this point. I mean, they're in a tough spot, but I don't think it's impossible. It just depends how they respond. They definitely have the talent to. We barely beat a rebuilding team with 0 chance of making playoffs. Yeah, I mean, but it's hard to win. I think, here's how I look at it. It's very hard to win in the NFL. Look around the league at all the other teams. I feel like sometimes Dolphins fans just focus on the Dolphins. Look at teams that are losing around the leagues to other teams. Cardinals just beat the 49ers. The Giants just beat the Seahawks. Sometimes the worst teams win. Dolphins were clearly the better team. They were definitely getting more yards. The only touchdown the Patriots had came off of an interception. They're playing with a backup quarterback. A win is a win. Now, you still have your concerns that you can see on the film, and you got to work on that. But like acting like it can't get better, like the team's still not, it's still pretty similar talent-wise to last year. But yeah, I still feel like they can definitely get better. Yeah, Huntley looks better too. I think, still wasn't a great game from him, but I think for like a backup, he played like what you want out of a backup, made some mistakes, but made some good plays too. Season is over. I love Tua, but the concussions are a concern. He's not the answer and should retire for his mental health. I mean, that's not up to you or me or anyone. That's up to Tua. So I'm not going to tell him he should retire because it's none of my business. Who would they waive if they activated McMorris? Well, I'm guessing Holland would go on IR, Garrett. That would be my guess. Holland would go on IR. You bring McMorris on. But I'm not against waiving Poyer if everyone's healthy at the safety position. McDaniel needs to coach better. Well, McDaniel coached a great game in New England, and I agree. He definitely had his struggles this season, but like his play design in this game was outstanding. Since he is 1-4, yeah. Dude, look around the league. A lot of teams are not in great spots. Even teams that are like have good records, I feel like aren't even performing up to their records right now. It's kind of how it is. See if he fired Crossman. Rucci should get a shot as a blocking tight end. I wouldn't mind that, but I don't know if we'll see that this year. I know a lot of people are down on Julian Hill. He's definitely had some bad plays, but what people got to realize is he's still the best blocking tight end on the roster. Unfortunately, like he's had way too many penalties. Even though I do think the penalty they called in this one was kind of weak. Like it was a weak holding call. Like I understand why they called it, but it didn't even matter on the play. I guess I even have some Jalen Wright clips. I mean, this was from, if you didn't watch my Jalen Wright film breakdown, these were the clips I was showing. Just so decisive, great vision, making good plays. This was the hold, by the way. Actually, yeah, this is the play where this got called back right here. He gets wide with his hands, but he lets go. I mean, it's a pretty weak call overall, but whatever. But they were calling that throughout the game on both teams, so that's just how these refs were calling it. Some refs would let this go and let the teams play like that. Some won't. But Wright just looked so explosive throughout the day. Offensive line did good. Alec Ingold was on their level. This is his best play. Oh my God. Look at this poor guy. Look at 15. 15 is Marte Mapu. He's like a hybrid safety linebacker. Just got absolutely destroyed. And he plays mostly linebacker for them. But Jalen Wright was making some very, very good plays. Liked seeing that. Dolphins still have a very good running back room. Ingold, Wright, downhill. Blocking up front, all around. Good stuff. Trying to see, there was one. Let's see if I can find the plays. No, I guess I don't. Oh, I think I had it on the other one. Oh yeah, it's on a Mostert play, but boom, there we go. I agree, elevate Rucci, and then another reason I want us to tank is because if let's just say we had to play the Bills or the Chiefs, if we were gonna lose. But I honestly I hate that mindset. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you don't want to make the playoffs because if you get to the playoffs, you're gonna play a tough team. Like what? Or send a time to the last. I mean, I would love for the Dolphins to have a tight end that's like all around elite. I just have to find those guys though. Very, very tough. I mean, I really wanted Laporta, who is kind of, fits that, but Dolphins were not in the position to draft him. He went before we even had a pick. What does tanking accomplish? I understand the idea of tanking. I'm a big draft person, but like, I don't think people understand tanking doesn't always work out exactly as you want, and you can still end up having better than drafts than someone who did tank. You can still put, like, even if you don't tank, you can still start over your franchise if that's the direction they want to go. You can still continue to build your team up. You can still add another quarterback while still keeping Tua or whatever. But it is week 5. And the Dolphins are 2-3. They're like right in it. They basically had a horrible start to the season, and they're still 2-3. So it's not like they're just out of it. They've had worse starts and, done better down the line. People want to tank because it's the only way Greer would lose his job. No, you're good, Irving. It's all good. I may have missed your thoughts on Allen's concussion injury. Oh, I haven't talked about the Josh Allen thing yet. Yeah, I mean, didn't I talk about this last stream, how like it is a big thing, like the narrative with Tua, but for other players it's not as big of a deal, like we talked about the old lineman last year that had like 6 concussions, but no one really cared. Like obviously they weren't to the same extent Tua's were, but it's still 6 concussions, but people don't talk about it because it's Tua. Josh Allen is using smelling salts on the sideline after getting knocked out, and like I want to treat the situation with respect. Like they should have. I'm surprised they put him back in the game. It's kind of similar to when Tua got the concussion versus the Bills, that initial part, the one that didn't get put as a concussion. They cleared him to go back in. I feel like that this Josh Allen situation is pretty similar. So hopefully he gets put into protocol to test him, because they should, just in case he plays the next game and gets another one. Because I also think he got his head slammed to the ground. But yeah, Delta Ward has had 6 concussions. A lot of players, yeah, it's very common. Jay, I think I'm not against potential quarterback. I think the fundamental thing though that I disagree with is you're thinking we just need to take one because of Tua's injury, and I don't think that's the right mindset to have going into the draft. I don't think you should just take one to take one. You should take a quarterback if you've evaluated him and you're like, oh, this guy is good and I think he could be a legit player for you. Especially if you're in the first round, you're thinking you're going to get your franchise guy. To me, a lot of these quarterbacks have question marks in this year's draft class. I'm not saying none of them will be franchise guys. They still have this full season to go. I think things will change. I'll get more film to look at. But I just don't agree with the idea. Like, we're just tanking to take one of these guys who potentially isn't even good. And most of them are not going to be as good as Tua. Some of them could be, but I just don't agree with the mindset. Like when your helmet breaks in pieces when trying to get in the end zone in a playoff game. Are you talking about Mahomes? Glad we got Ajayi back. I've seen this. I've gotten multiple comments about people calling Jalen Wright Jay Ajayi. I don't really see it. I think Jalen Wright's a lot more explosive than Jay Ajayi was, but who knows? I think the thing is, Jay, is you're not tanking to get a quarterback for him to be your backup, you know? Like, you don't tank to get a quarterback to then be your backup for a few years. What's a lazy comparison? I mean, I'd love that. I'd love that, but still a lot of season left to go. I mean, I'm excited, you know. Definitely happy to get a win, even though it seems like lots of Dolphins fans are not. Even some people in here weren't happy to get a win, which is, in my opinion, a little bit weird because it's only week 5 and you came into this. Like, I could understand maybe if you're going into the season expecting to lose, like you're a team, you're like, you have no chance of winning. And by week 5, you're like, well, if we lose, like, sure. But like, this is a team who came into the season with expectations to win. So, I mean, I'm going to be happy for a win. No, I would like to see Tanner Conner. I just think the thing with Tanner Conner is he's not he's a tight end, but he's not like you brought up Durham Smythe and Julian Hill, but they're very different players. Like, if Tanner Conner played, Tanner Conner would take time away from Jonnu Smith. You know? Because they're more of the move tight ends, F tight ends. Those that he plays the same position as Jonnu. And Jonnu looked good. I didn't mention Jonnu yet. Jonnu probably had his best game of the season. I was begging for him to get involved. It felt like this game McDaniel was watching my videos. But yeah, definitely wanted to see Jonnu get involved. Really like Jonnu Smith's fit for this offense when he gets used correctly. Like, he doesn't need to play every down, and you don't need to play him in line, but like those plays where you're going to have a receiver tight, you know, where you would usually put someone to get in the crack toss, like, why not just have that be Jonnu? Because Jonnu can give you a better block on a crack toss than a receiver, plus can run routes over the middle, usually where that's coming from. Colts just lost one of their best linemen. Who'd they lose? I haven't seen any of the Colts stuff. But we're still 2 weeks away from that game, so things can change. Plus, I'm imagining Richardson will probably be back by then, right? Because I think they were still even considering him, like, he wasn't automatically out this week. Yeah. Well, hey, I think the big thing about this Dolphins game running well is the Patriots actually have, like, statistically a good run defense. I believe they were like number 9. They were round 9. In the Colts, I think have one of the worst run defenses, so Dolphins should be able to take advantage of that. So that'll be good. Hope. Yeah, Julian. Do you think we should? Oh, do you think, given the strength of the last part of our season, that we have a chance at a playoff spot? I definitely think they have a chance. For sure. Not like some guaranteed thing, but it's definitely not like I don't think it would be like a crazy thing if they made the playoffs. You know, I still think I think it's the next 6 or 7 games or whatever are still very winnable. And I know people look at the last stretch, but like still a lot of those teams are very beatable. You look around the NFL, teams have their struggle games. You can win some surprise ones. Now the Dolphins have to show something that they haven't quite shown yet at the end of the season stretch. So that will be under McDaniel at least. So it'll have to be something new. But I definitely don't think it's impossible. Plus, it's better for quarterbacks to sit behind veteran quarterbacks and learn, like, for example, Patrick Mahomes. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I don't think it's necessary for a quarterback to sit behind, but, like, the examples you just brought, you just said Patrick Mahomes and Jordan Love. Neither of those guys were tanked for. Like, because you're talking about tanking. Patrick Mahomes was, like, the 10th or 11th pick, and Jordan Love was picked in the 20s. So, like, you don't need to lose games. And, like, Patrick Mahomes was traded up for from the 20s to get to, like, 10. And I remember because I was a big fan of Mahomes and Love in both of those drafts. Yeah, and I think the offense definitely still had its struggles in this game. Obviously didn't put up a ton of points, but they had a lot of yards and they left points on the field. Like they had a missed field goal and they had the miss snapped from Blake Ferguson. And then there was also a couple times where on their field, the drives where they did make field goals, where they had potential touchdowns that they just didn't execute, whether it was Huntley missing them or like Tyreek was barely out of bounds, that type of thing. So there was potential for more points out there. They just have to be able to execute better. I don't think this was a McDaniel problem this game. Yeah, definitely take an ugly win. You just got to still understand, like, because every team wants some ugly wins. You got to understand, like, you still have your problems. I think the Dolphins know that, but showing some improvement, especially from the head coach with his play calling, because like it wasn't just like he ran the ball more. I think that's like the basic way of putting it. Like he ran the ball more. Like realistically, in the first half, he was still throwing the ball more than his running game. Huntley looked more in control. He was using his play action game. And then once he started to tire out the defense and like then he started committing more to the running game, they started getting more and more yards. He could feel that momentum shifting. It's a situational thing for me. So like I think his understanding of his situational play calling, depending on what the down and distance was, where they were at in the field, I feel like that was much improved. QBs with that talent don't fall often. I mean, yeah, that's definitely fair, but like you got to understand, some people in the NFL aren't that good at their jobs in the front office. Like people fall all the time. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I don't think you should like be purposefully going out there to tank to lose, especially in a draft like this where I don't think the top quarterbacks are anything that special. Like you just said, I think you said take a QB in the second. I would be more open to that because I actually think a lot of the quarterbacks that are considered like top guys right now are more second round picks, and I don't think all of them are going to go in the first. So, my guy, it's the Patriots. We still suck. I feel like you aren't even listening to me, Harry. Like I just go on these like rants explaining all of the nuances to these things, and then people give me these responses like, "No, we still suck." Like I'm like, "Yeah, we obviously still have our problems." Did I not just go on and explain that for 5 minutes? My video's lagging. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm dropping frames pretty bad right now. Definitely unfortunate. Yeah, our special teams definitely almost cost us that game. Uh, yeah. Any? Oh, nope, wrong thing. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Elk Angled. Apparently, PFF had the highest graded defenders as Cater Kohu, Chop Robinson, Jalen Ramsey, Marcus May, and Benito Jones. I know some fans will not be happy about that because people will just shit all over some of these players, specifically Kohu and Chop Robinson. I mean, I don't think Chop had the best game, but I do think people are like prematurely calling him a bust. Shout out to Kohu. I actually think Kohu played pretty well. Wasn't perfect either, but they put him on the out. They played Ramsey in the slot a decent amount and like put him on the outside. He was covering pretty well, like not giving up separation. Made a clutch tackle over Stevenson. So I mean, give credit where credit's due. He had a slow start to the season, but played a good game. Marcus May really liked. Benito Jones got some nice pressures. That was good to see. Hope Haychan is back against the Colts. I think he could be. Usually concussions are about a 1 week thing, and we have a bye, so I imagine Haychan will be back unless it was like a bad concussion, but we don't know. All right, I'd love to see a full O-line analysis for this game. I might do that. I think tomorrow I'm just doing the defense and Alec Ingold, so check that out. I was planning to do like specific O-linemen. I was going to do Jones and Armstead. I guess I could just do the entire O-line instead, but I mean, 30 plays. Oh man, if I do 30 plays and I break down all 5, that might be it. That video will be over an hour long. Last year's front 4 is hard to replicate. And yeah, and I mean, they're still getting pressure. I think the biggest thing in this game is they lost Phillips. And instead of like trying to have your edges still create the pressure that you're going to lose from Phillips, they had a lot of twist and stunt game going on. And they created a lot of manufactured pressure with blitzes and all different types of looks. So shout out to Anthony Weaver for that. Criticize me as much as you want, but Robinson is actual trash. I mean, again, very poor phrasing, but and I was one that was not like Chop Robinson wouldn't have been my pick. There's things he definitely needs to work on. I think his contact balance, I think his pass rush plan. But there's very clear ways for him to win, but they're not really using him in that way. He had 3 total attack, a QB hit, 2 hurries. He made some good plays versus the screen. Like calling him actual trash after 5 games is like truly trash, in my opinion, to like actually say that, but whatever. You do you. Uh, you could play AVG. Well, if they had AVG, he would be playing Edge. Definitely miss Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel's a stud. I mean, I've been a big Van Ginkel fan for a long time, even before he was like playing significant snaps, because he would make special teams play as a rotational defender. He'd stop the run well. He, for some reason, would always end up with the ball in his hands. And once he started getting more and more playing time, he really stood out. But man, I am lagging. I mean, that'd be great, Sheldon. I'd love to get 24 points. Yeah, I think a lot of people focus too much on players sometimes. Typically, it's not players being trash or bad. It's usually about situations of where they end up and coaches and how they can develop them. Because clearly he has the talent. Like, he has the physical talent to be good. It's just dependent about how you use him. I think Weaver's put him in some positions where, like, he's not at his best to potentially try to get more out of him. But, like, he hasn't put him in, like, the ideal situations like we've talked about with the pass rushing and him getting used, like, in the interior and stuff like that. On one of the play, he did get a QB hit on Brissett. He did get used on a stunt where he was able to work on the interior stuff. And if we really get more of that, that'd be great. Also, I think we keep playing him at right defensive end. I think he looks more comfortable as a left defensive end. But most of his snaps have come on the right, and I feel like in college he looks better at left side than right side, which is a thing. Like, some people are just more some people are more comfortable on a different side. And to me, Chop, more of his comfortable reps have come from the left side, but we keep playing him on the right. But yeah, I think I'm lagging. How did Bowser do to your eye? He only played like, I don't think he played very much, so it's tough to say. When I watched through the defensive film, like, it's hard because obviously I only went through it like once now, so it's hard to watch every single person every play. I remember seeing him, but I didn't remember like noticing him in a bad or like good type of thing. I actually only remember Bowser once, and it's on that play. It was on, like, the Patriots were near their own goal line, and Brissett threw it down the sideline one-on-one. It was when Kohu was in coverage, and it was incomplete, like, good coverage by Kohu. But Bowser caught it on the sideline and, like, started running with it like he got a pick. I just remember laughing about that during the game, and then I saw it on film again. I commented on a reason I've said or Chop impact, but without a stat and that someone not give him credit. Yeah, I mean, I still think Chop has, like, Chop is ending up on the ground too often. Like, he needs to work on his balance and his pass rush plan for sure. But, like, some people are overrating him. Wide receiver Washington, Malik. Malik didn't get too much work in the passing game. He went out there and blocked once. He actually got called for, like, a blindside block penalty, which I thought was stupid. It was a pretty poor call, in my opinion, that they called that. I mean, it didn't matter anyways. Like, it was a 3rd and long. I thought he went out there and, like, attempted to block, but there wasn't really too much to say about it at this point. I don't think we're going to see... I mean, with OBJ returning, we're going to see less Malik, but I do think if Tua's in the lineup and we have, like, one of those games where we throw the ball a lot, that will be, like, Malik's chance to potentially have a breakout game. I don't think he's going to see it now with how much we're running the ball, and we're playing a lot of 21 personnel with Alec Ingold on the field, and when that's the case, you only have 2 receivers on the field. So I don't think we're going to see a ton of our, like, smaller guys until certain situations. Brewer, I thought, looked good. Brewer blocked well. We keep having that snap issue. I don't know where, like, he wasn't ready. Like, that's a problem that they need to get fixed on, but that could also be, like, a backup QB thing. But yeah. Return man. Yeah. He hasn't gotten a chance as a returner yet, unfortunately. I know people hate on Berrios as a returner. I don't think he's as bad as people think. I actually think he's a fairly good returner to have, not necessarily because he's going to get you crazy yards, but because he's smart and, like, he, knock on wood, but he's never fumbled in a Dolphins uniform as a returner, which is very big. Like, a lot of games get changed from fumbling, and when he does fair, like, you even saw him, one of the ones he fair caught it way too early. He had so much room to work with. He even went, like, I think he said, like, he screamed fuck or something like that. I can't remember, but I remember I could hear the mic and he was pissed at himself. But usually when he does return, like, he actually does get, like, at least around average to slightly above average yardage on the play. But I would love to see Malik potentially on some kick returns where it's less likely to, you know, have a big fumble on a punt return and then get more and more work as it goes on. Barrows calls fair catch a little too early. Yeah, definitely don't want that. But, like, I'd rather you call a fair catch early than fumble. That's all I'm saying. Barrios sucks. As a returner, I don't think he's that. I think the Barrios hate as a returner is forced. I don't think some people realize he's actually statistically been a pretty decent returner for the Dolphins. Now, as a receiver, different story. Useless. Useless is harsh, but yeah, fire Crossman. I mean, yeah. Look at the special teams. Missed a field goal, had a blocked punt, and Ferguson rolled a snap to the that play was so funny because it like rolled to him, and then the punter still tried to place it down, and Sanders was like already at it, just staring at him like, get up. I mean, I don't like, I think if you watch around the league, one of the biggest thing that really changes games sometimes, like close games, is someone just a punt returner fumbling, and it happens all the time. And the Dolphins haven't had that since Barrows has been here, which I gotta give him credit for that. But that's all the credit he gets out of me. Wait, sorry. Well, okay, well, what are you seeing as issue with the run defense? Because we have some solid D-line, but it looks like more execution than personnel. I do think a big nose tackle would help, though. Yeah, I think in certain situations, I mean, Dolphins did run more, like, usually they don't even have a nose tackle look, but, like, in this game, they were, against the Patriots specifically, I think they were going to give them this look because New England can't throw the ball, they can only run the ball. They were going out there with 3 defensive linemen and using a nose tackle, so I do think a better nose tackle would help stop the run. But I do think your second point is correct. I think it's not necessarily safeties, but I do think the linebackers have had some run misfits. Same with the D-line. They haven't been perfect. I think the edges are not the greatest run defenders either. Usually it's like, with the run defense, when they do give a big plays, it's everyone's doing their job, and then one person makes a misread, and then it turns into a big play. I actually think when the DBs have gotten involved, when they've gotten Ramsey and Holland near the line of scrimmage, they've actually done a good job helping with the run fits. I think Jordan Brooks has been the Dolphins' best linebacker. Sealer and Campbell have played very well, especially getting after the pass rush. But the run defense definitely needs work. I'm going to do a full film breakdown tomorrow. The run defense isn't perfect, but it's not like completely horrible. They're still able to, even though like statistically they got ran all over by the Patriots, they only give up 10 points, and 7 of those came off just one long run. Crazy, there were so many blocked punts, field goals yesterday. It was insane. Oh yeah, that the Giants Seahawks one was insane. I didn't realize it was legal to like hold the center down. I thought that was a penalty. Like, I swear it was at one point, like considered like a big penalty, but guess not. Okay, let's see what else did I have here. Yeah, apparently Robert Jones had, according to PFF, I'll do a film breakdown at some point of Robert Jones, but he played 79 offensive snaps, 0 sacks, 0 QB hits allowed, 0 hurries allowed, 0 pressures allowed, 0 penalties. Pretty good game there from Robert Jones. Got to give credit where it's due. Apparently, here's a chart too that I saw. Percentage of plays on defense where the offense has a positive EPA. The Dolphins are ranked 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. 8. So the Dolphins are ranked like 8th and giving up only a positive. That's a good thing. Only behind the Chargers, Denver, Chicago, Tennessee, the Jets, Browns, Vikings. So the Dolphins are 8 and giving up positive EPA plays, which is definitely a good sign from Anthony Weaver, who's a new defensive coordinator for this team. I'm surprised PFF didn't rank Alec Ingold higher. I feel like Alec Ingold played one of the best games I've ever seen of fullback play. Like for fullback play, that was insane. And also great work, Jalen Wright. Shout out Jalen. Line looked much better this game. Our line is holding up, could be worse. Yeah, I think everyone's first thing is to point at the O-line because it's like usually what a lot of fans are used to being the problem, and like talent-wise, it is the weakest link on the offense. But I don't think the O-line has been as big of a weak point as people may think. There's definitely certain games, like I think versus the Titans, they struggled to run block, but in all the other games, they actually run block pretty well. And then versus the Bills, they really struggled to pass block. But the other games, they at least held up with the scheme, you have to keep the scheme in point because the scheme helps them with pass protection a lot. But yeah, EFFO line grades were good except Liam. Yeah, Liam had a pretty rough game. I think he did a good job on that touchdown drive though. I think the whole O-line did. How about Zach Wilson? What about Zach? Saying to bring him in? I mean, I wouldn't trade for him. I will say, if you watch my offensive film breakdown, Huntley did a good job off play action and playing and timing on the play action game. He converted some nice third downs. Wasn't perfect. I think when he got off script and he was trying to make plays down the field, there was some questionable decision making. He also missed a couple throws that he didn't feel comfortable on. But those plays were like it was off play action and he hit his back foot and the ball was released on good timing. Those were Huntley's best plays of the day. I thought the O-line did pretty good, actually. I thought it was Robert Jones' best game. I thought Armstead played good. I mean, pass protection, they still have their problems, but I think some of those sacks were Huntley's problem as well. I think Brewer was a good run blocker. Eichenberg definitely had his roughest game, and then Jackson was had a really bad sack given up, but was run blocking decently well enough. But Engold was playing great. I think the biggest thing is the running backs actually were reading pretty well this game. There was other games I feel like the running backs missed some good reads. This one they were actually making like good reads, getting downhill, finding the things that were blocked up well. Ike is indestructible. I wish Tua was back after the bye week. I wish so too, but one more week. At least with Tua back, I mean, plus, I mean, I guess it's not guaranteed to be one more week. That's just what I'm guessing is going to happen. At least with Tua back, the offense becomes way more exciting, at least in my opinion. I feel like most people feel that way, unless you're like just a big Tua hater. But I feel like it just becomes a lot more exciting. Wright needs at least 10 carries a game. I agree. I literally made a video the day before the Dolphins Patriots game saying that Jalen Wright needs to be fed and featured in the offense, even with Mostert returning. I think they need to find a way to get like. I think it may be with Achane back and all three are there. Think about it. Mostert got like 19 carries, right? Wright got 13, and then Achane had a couple before he went out. I think if you take some of those away from Mostert, like take like 6, 7 away. You give those to Achane, maybe take 1 or 2 away carries from Wright. Everyone's around like 11, 12 touches in the game. I think you can have fresh legs. And I'm not saying this has to be like an every game thing, but like if you're able to get your running backs that many touches, you do it. And then if someone gets hot, then you ride the hot hand. So to me, I'd be trying to get everyone around like double-digit touches on the running back front, all 3 of them, because you can keep fresh legs. Some of them have an injury history, so it allows them to stay a little bit fresher. And then who's ever hot by the end of the game, let's ride that hot hand and go with it. Wright's just Mostert all game right now. Achane should plug in here and there. Yeah, I mean, Achane still needs to be playing and on the field. Like, I understand, but I saw some people saying Achane is like not even good or much worse than Wright and Mostert. I mean, I don't think people remember that Achane had potentially the best rookie year a running back's ever had from an efficiency standpoint. I think people are kind of quick to forget. Like, Achane is very good. Clearly, he was a little banged up and getting a lot of touches. But if Achane is used the right way, God, he can have some big plays. If Tua played yesterday, what do you think the score was? Ooh, it's tough because I'm guessing the play calling would have been different, but we would. How many points did Dolphins finish with? 15. And then, we went for 2. The 2 point should have been got, so let's just say, I probably think we'd finish with about, I would say 27. I feel like Tua usually puts that up around the Patriots. It's funny because Tua's undefeated versus the Patriots, but he never has his best games versus New England. He doesn't play like horrible, but he usually doesn't play like that great. But it is tough to go versus Belichick. He's never played versus the new Patriots. coaches, so it would be interesting. But I think the Dolphins usually put up around like in the 20s somewhere with Tua in the game versus New England. I think yesterday Tua would have hit. There was a touchdown to either Tyreek or Waddle that I think he most likely would have hit. But it's tough to say because you probably wouldn't be running the exact same plays in those situations. He just can't take the workload. I just don't think he can take the workload, but he can't take the workload for like many games in a row. I think that's the problem. Because there is games like there last year there was games where he got like 20 touches and was efficient with them and got like over 100 yards and did it for multiple games, and then he started to slow down. I think this one he was banged up, kind of had an ankle injury, was not listed anymore, but he just didn't look the same like comfortability and wasn't as decisive. But I think if they can get him back to like his role last year, still getting like double-digit touches, but like high-value touches, like the play he got hurt on was like the type of play you want to use Achane on. Unfortunately, he got injured, but yeah. I don't think people realize how... I feel like, recency bias is a thing. That definitely happens. Achane is still very, very good. I mean, he was still very good in the first couple weeks of the season. At least in the first 2 games. Yeah, I don't know, Greg. Don't know. Penley has a great game and wins. Is there a rush to bring Tua back? I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm nothing against Huntley. I just think clearly the offense is much more efficient with Tua. If Tua's healthy, like you bring him back. Like if he wants to play and he's healthy to play, he's clear to play, he's gonna play. The offense is just way better with him. I don't recall seeing him on any injury report prior to yesterday. No, he wasn't on the injury report, but like if you watched the game, you could tell he was hobbled. And he was also playing through an ankle injury in like week 2 and week 3. But I can just tell if you watch his other film compared to some of this film, like he wasn't moving as full speed. Yeah. I mean, that game shouldn't have been as close as it was. The Dolphins clearly moved the ball a lot better than New England, but Huntley helped them with that interception, gave them good field position. Also, I guess the punt block didn't turn into points for them. But also we had a couple missed field goals. And the snap over the head, too, also at least killed a field goal. So that was at least 9 points right there. That was taken away. I was going to say that today's NFL doesn't value sacks as indicator of pass rushing success as it did in the past. The NFL cares. Well, no, it's true. If you want to look at like who's having the most success as a pass rusher, you should look at pressures are more indicative of who's having pass rush success than sacks. Like obviously you want sacks, but sacks can be a lot more misleading than pressures. And pressures can be misleading too. That's why you got to watch the film. Because sometimes, like, if you guys recall the season Olivier Vernon had double-digit sacks, if you go back and watch a lot of his sacks came off of being cleanup of Cameron Wake creating a pressure and then getting forced into Vernon. And then Vernon got paid all that money and then never played quite up to what they thought he was going to be. Because he was never that player. Sometimes players get a lot of sacks because the other person on the other side is creating all this pressure. That's really like the way to, like, the big indicator is how quickly you can create pressure. Not necessarily getting a sack. Obviously, there's a skill to finishing, but sometimes the ball's coming out so quickly. Is Chop getting pressure? I mean, after week 3, I'm pretty sure he was top 5 in pressure rate. I think week 4, he really struggled to get pressure. Week 5, he got like 3 hurries this game. It wasn't perfect. I still think he has his problems, but it's not like he hasn't gotten some pressure in his limited snaps. Greg, I know Allen and Bill said he twisted his ankle in that play, and that's why he stayed down. And the same Bills fans will be like talking about we'll also say like the whole, because it was like Tua and his back thing. It's like the same situation almost. Imagine if he gets hurt next week. It'd literally be the Tua situation. I hope it doesn't happen, so. Got this. Okay, boom. Yeah, any more questions before I log out of here? Check out the defensive. Check out the videos I posted today if you haven't seen them yet. Check out the defensive film breakdown, Alec Ingold film breakdown tomorrow. And then just throughout the week, we have a bye week. So there'll just be videos posted throughout, the next 2 weeks before the Dolphins' next game. And then we'll get into some Colts stuff. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see.